Despite extensive advocacy and numerous interventions, Nigeria still faces significant challenges in keeping children enrolled in school. The widespread presence of schools on almost every street corner contrasts with the growing number of out-of-school children, highlighting systemic issues that demand urgent attention. In 1999, the federal government of Nigeria introduced the Universal Basic Education Program as a catalyst to achieving free, quality, and compulsory 9-year education for children within the specified age range. According to a report from the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, the global number of out-of-school children has risen by 6 million since 2021 and now totaling a staggering 250 million. Meanwhile, a report released in June 2022 by the United Nations International Children Education Fund revealed that 1 in 3 children in Nigeria is out of school. That is, a total of 10.2 million at the primary level and 8.1 million at the junior secondary school level. Shockingly, 12.4 million children never attended school, and an additional 5.9 million left school early. Poverty is one of the leading reasons children are out of school. In many households, children are required to contribute to family income by engaging in child labor, working on farms, hawking goods in the markets, or engaging in menial jobs. For these families, the cost of education, whether it's uniforms, books, or transportation, is too high to bear.
Should I say financial factors? The economy is not as what it used to be. So many parents can no longer afford 3 square meters of taking their kids to school, and also the high cost of education in the country. In central climes, there are free education from a certain level where the parents can even prepare, for a tertiary institution. But from primary school, already paying huge cumbersome amounts of money to secondary school, and then when you get to university, instead of the government trying to subsidize, we hear that even the state and federal universities are increasing the fees. So for me, it's a major factor. Two, shall I say, the economy is under factor in the sense that many people now tend to fend for themselves instead of going to school and trying to learn and acquire the required skills, and all they tend to become men at a very tender age. They go out to the streets and start looking for their daily bread and taking catering for their families at a very younger age because of the fact that there is no proper guidance or support from their parents. So a lot of factors, but majorly it's financially. That's why people are dropping out from school, and the fact that it's not looking likely that in Nigerian system and society, where the people now see school as more of a waste of time than about acquiring the right skills to face life. A lot of things could change. The government can also help reduce the cost of education in the country. If possible, we can get private. We enjoyed some level of free education where, and by as low as 5,000 I was done paying my school fees in secondary school. So if they can get the school fees back to a minimum wage, where the government tends to help subsidize the fees, students will be able to focus on the education and not begin to look around on how to get schools. So many students who are in school at the moment are even the one fending for themselves, paying their own school fees. So the government can help get policies that will enhance the students, to go back to school. We talk about recently the government brought about this policy where you now have student support financially. So these are the things to go. Just give the right incentive to force the children back to school, and the better for us. But like I said, it's a whole cycle, but it's majorly financial because children who leave school most of the time go out chasing their daily bread.
The major reason has to do with poverty. When you have not had something to eat, nothing in your stomach, who is thinking about school? So the earlier the government thinks about policies that would, provide for the ordinary Nigerian, make sure that the ordinary Nigerian can have at least 3 square meals, then before you begin to talk of education. But when we're hungry, the ordinary Nigerian is hungry, you're telling him about education, he just look at you as if you are speaking in tongues. So that's basically it. Take care of the hunger in the land. People are suffering, people are dying every day, and you are telling them to go to school. When you take care of the stomach infrastructure, then before you start talking about education. If you can handle poverty, then out of school children, I think the problem would reduce. And then after that, we look for scholarships. Scholarships for scholarships for these children. Their parents they find it hard to meet up with the challenges over time, economic challenges. So for a parent, for instance, that have up to 4 or 5 children, how is he able to cope with the meager salary? I think you heard what the government just prescribed as the minimum wage. They said 70,000. I'm still wondering how that would how an ordinary Nigerian will be able to cope with that. I have up to 4 or 5 children with the amount of how much they are paying now for school fees. It's really crazy. So when you talk about scholarships, providing scholarships for these children, I'm sure the issue of out of school children will reduce.
It is poverty now. Poverty is the issue of out of school children now. There's no two about it. You can't deny it. It's poverty. It's poverty and lack of planning, both from government and also from individuals. You know your economic reality. You know your economic power. You are every year, 2 years, you are having children. Saying that God give you. Okay now. And God give you, no problem. We understand that God give you. But the reality is that by the time you want to buy money to spend money to pay for the food, baby food, you now know that it's God that give you, but you all know that maybe I did not really plan well. Because the children will eat, they don't give a damn. So you as a person have to plan. What are you? Don't say, of course, God is in control, but you too have to apply wisdom to whatever you are doing, so that at the end of the day, you don't have children that will litter the street and becomes begging, destitute and the rest. It does not speak well of even God will hold you accountable for the way the children you brought into the world when you cannot take care of them. God will hold you accountable. You know your pocket. Instead of to just stick to 1 or 2, 3 or even 4, you are sticking to 8, 12. Say one family, one uncle from somewhere, one of my sister uncle or my brother, every uncles. You want all the uncles to train your children. You too, are you not an uncle of somebody? You to train them now. This uncle will train, this uncle, this my cousin. You too, you are somebody's cousin. You too are somebody's uncle. You contribute to the training.
To understand the full impacts of these crises, let's hear directly from those affected.
My mother, I lost my mother with my father.
You lost your mother and your father?
Yes.
So your aunties, your relatives know they?
No. Then go to Lagos.
They go to Lagos?
Yes.
So if you see opportunity to go to school, for life go to school?
Yes.
So like this pure water where you carry, how much they sell at the pay?
I get 500.
You get 500?
Yes.
How much they buy and for?
I buy am 300.
300. So when you get them for 500 like that, how much they use chop for you?
I use 200 chop.
200 chop in a day?
Yes.
Where they stay?
I stay for Orange Market.
These are the realities for millions of Nigerian children. A day away from school is a day away from the brighter future.
Secretary General, National Commission for United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, Dr. Olagunji Idowu, has disclosed a 3-year running plan by Federal Ministry of Education in collaboration with key stakeholders to tackle the issue of out-of-school children across country.
The 20 million figure, although it can be contested to a little extent, but that's not the issue on ground now, because one of the things that the Ministry of Education wants to tackle is the issue of data, to be sure that the data we are giving out is correct. If you recall, UNICEF brought 10.5 million as at 2013, and as at 2024, UNICEF brought 18.3 million. UNESCO brought 20 million. So ordinarily, there shouldn't be disparity. So the ministry is working out a way that data will be accurate whenever it is done, especially on any issue that regards to education. So, and as I've said also, a lot is being done by the federal government of Nigeria through Federal Ministry of Education towards tackling this very big menace that is staring us in the face, which is out of school matter. And a lot has been done and is being done, as we have said. As I just said, there is the one that is most recent, a 3-year rolling plan has been put together that will be done by the ministry, which will be reviewed every year. Each year, it will be reviewed after the monitoring and evaluation procedure. It will be reviewed every year to take 70%, at least 70% out of school in the next 3 years.
However, despite these efforts, the numbers remain stubbornly high. Executive Director, African Center for Youth Development, Education and Advocacy Initiative, Mr. Tamayari, emphasized that while these initiatives are steps in the right direction, more needs to be done.
We are currently working hand in hand with the Ministry of Education, also Ministry of Youth, and some CSOs, and see how we play our own part. These are challenges that have been for years. We don't expect it to go out within a twinkle of an eye, but one step at a time. And the current Ministry of Education are opened, engaging with the CSO, just to be sure that all parts have been put together so that we see how these issues are handled. So collaboratively, we are working together. And in our own side, as an NGO, we are doing everything also to advocate and to see how children can be enrolled, that will have a higher number of enrollment in education. And we are also pushing for higher budget allocation for education, because Nigeria is still falling behind the global standard when it comes to education and budget allocation.
Recall the House member representing Tarauni Federal Constituency of Kano State, Honorable Mukhtar Zakari, Adela passed a motion to revisit the suspended homegrown school feeding program. The lawmaker says the suspension of the feeding program has led to a surge in out-of-school children.
Concerned that suspension of this program by the current administration is unsettling for several reasons, namely reduced school enrollment and attendance, compromised health and cognitive development of the children, and disruption of the income of smallholder farmers. Recognize that addressing the program challenges is crucial, but a complete suspension may cause more harm. Therefore, it is important to find alternative solution or efficient implementation of the National Homegrown School Feeding Program to ensure Nigerian children continue to benefit from this important initiative.
Meanwhile, a cross-section of residents in the FCT have expressed their concerns about the initiative.
It's a conduit for corruption. We don't see it affect the people they're meant for. The school people in the villages are not benefiting from it. Only the elite that are benefiting from it. So let it be scrapped. If they want the people to reach them, let them do it from the grassroots, not from Abuja here, where they siphon it. Even if they are getting to there, it's only the peanuts that gets there. The main bulk are being siphoned here. So let it be scrapped. Let them support families to be able to feed their children from home before coming to school.
If you look at the children nowadays, most of them, they are the less privileged children, that they cannot afford to feed their children. When government support them, and at least it will help them to get a better education, a standard education that at least you can compete with other children that doesn't have the support from their parents. I think it is the best thing, it is the best idea for the government to continue to eat with it, because some of the parents, they cannot afford it. With the current situation now, hardship is everywhere.
No, I'm of the view that the government should continue. If we can be able to set up a committee and then ensure that those committees work effectively to checkmate some of those activities, criminal activities going on under the whatever there, then continue with it. If we can be able to do the right thing and then put the right people there that can do the work, we are okay.
My own opinion is that the government should go ahead, and it will help a lot of parents, I mean a lot of parents. It will help them, and it will go a long way. If they truncate it now, it will be a problem, because they may not have the capability to feed them at home, but the children are sure that they will get something in school. And if some are still coming back home, their bag, they'll put something in their bag, maybe for another little baby that is at home waiting for them. So it should go ahead. They should not truncate it.
While basic education is free and compulsory across country, the reality on ground is far from this. In regions affected by insurgency, banditry, and communal clashes, schools have been forced to shut down.
Nigeria, like any other country of the world, has been experiencing attacks on education, which has accumulated into high number of out-of-school children's menace. I am aware that this is a global Remembrance Day dedicated to celebrate learners, teachers, and educational personnel since the idea was mooted and proposed by the United Nations General Assembly on the 29th May 2020. In collaboration with other United Nations agencies, it's been celebrated since 2020. Each year, a theme is usually designed to highlight any crucial issue affecting the education sector. And this year's theme is Renewed Commitment to Protect and Ensure Sustainable Financing of Safe Schools in Nigeria. The need to provide the funding gaps draws attention to the strategic role school safety play in achieving quality education for all and the dire need to rejuvenate the Safe Schools financing for sustainability. It may also interest you to note that the Secretariat is currently receiving requests from 18 states of the Federation who needs urgent support to ensure survivors of attack access to quality education and the specialist services in our schools. The task of protecting education from attack is an issue of great importance. And without access to quality learning, children are not only being deprived of education, but they are also being robbed of future opportunities. This affects all of us. Our expectation is that Safe Schools Declaration and its guidelines are to provide the framework for a collective effort to achieve renewed hope in the lives of children and young people that are affected by conflict.
We are commemorating the United Nations Day on the protection of education against attack. And clearly, this is a very important event, especially because in the last few years, Nigeria itself, or maybe I should say, some of our schools in some parts of the country have become victims in one way or another of various types of attack. So this day that we're coming together to discuss these issues in a lot of detail and to work out strategies on how we can make our schools very safe and how we can protect our children, the teachers, and the other educators from any form of threats that would disturb the normal operations of the school. A day to commemorate or an event to commemorate this day is certainly very important for all of us, and especially for the Universal Basic Education Commission that has the role of the overall coordination of the basic education sector. In fact, the Commission, as part of its Effective Schools program, where it is trying to bring up all our basic education schools to reach certain minimum standards. In this program, we have taken the safety of the schools as a very important aspect of the overall effectiveness of schools.
The country faces significant educational challenges, particularly for girls in northern regions, where cultural and socio-economic factors often impede their educational opportunities.
Well, when it comes to gender, you can be sure that girls are the most vulnerable. In most cases, girls, you could see, at least it's very clear, the Chibok girls case is still very fresh. It's still in our memory, and so many others. Girls also are easily driven out of school if there is no wash facility for them when they want to do their menstruation and all the rest. Some of them also, the gender-based violence issue should not be wished away also. So if you look at it, girls are the most vulnerable in some parts, and if you go to some other side, you will see that boys are also vulnerable, because some people believe that the boys should go into trading. They shouldn't go to school. The girls, we can always lend them out in marriage and get so much money. So as it is, we cannot, unless there is a data collection. As I've said, it's an issue that Ministry of Education, Federal Ministry of Education is looking at. We need to get a strong data and reliable data, because before we can say this is the region that is most affected and these are the gender that are most affected. Otherwise, we will just be beating about the bush saying that.
Definitely there is disparity between gender among the out-of-school children, and it's very pathetic, because the interest to enrolled women is declining. And as an advocate for inclusive education, I put it a call that it's let it become a point of duty for everyone to make sure that the girls are being in school, And also one of the approach is when you don't tend not to pick interest. So our women who are trailblazers need to be celebrated more and spotlight more in order for us to have a more inclusive education.
While the problem may seem overwhelming, there is hope, as education is not just a right, it is a lifeline. Without it, millions of Nigerian children face a future of poverty, unemployment, and insecurity.
This is a call to action for governments, civil societies, and individuals to ensure that every child has access to quality education. Together, a future can be created where every child can learn, thrive, and grow. Didion Ibanga,